truth serum. It's still experimental, hence the polygraph. I would have tortured you, but my employers insist I use their concoction. Now, let's begin.
So I'm doing another dive into Hell Is Us, as there are aspects of this game which seem especially relevant to current events. In my previous vid, I went with a zoomed out, big picture analysis of how the game addresses civil war. But here I want to look specifically at the celebration of evil, something which the land of Hadia openly puts on display. It's an ugliness which we've witnessed a whole lot of recently, as social media was flooded with videos and tweets from individuals joyously reveling in a man's life being taken, his neck torn open as his little daughter tried to rush to her daddy. There were some who voiced gladness when children drowned in the recent Texas floods. I'm reminded also of the festive marches in the wake of the Hamas October 7th attacks. Before any military response from Israel, that's a whole other can of worms. But in the immediate aftermath, many celebrated. Crowds took to the streets, young men waving their phones, some gleefully displaying a video of a Jewish victim being sexually assaulted. Many of us likewise are old enough to recall how various communities erupted into celebration following the September 11th attacks on the U.S. In Hell Is Us, we witnessed some of this right upon reaching Jova, the first town hub. The town has been seized and ravaged by Sabinian militants, but the signs of how the other faction, the Palamists, had not only killed but celebrated the killing of Sabs, as they call them, are evident in various places, in graffiti scrawled on several homes and buildings. The most striking example being the Sabinian family tree, which mockingly depicts a group, possibly a family, of Sabinians having been hung from nooses on a tree that you can actually visit on the outskirts of Jova. It's a gruesome scene, though somewhat offset by the fact that you've already journeyed past a mass grave where a Palamist father is mourning his dead wife and daughter, as well as the carefree or worse attitude you encounter from the Sabinians who have slaughtered nearly everyone in town. Hell Is Us wastes no time in letting you know that the ugliness here is not one-sided. And there's nuance also within the factions, something which far too few games or films or anything really make an effort to depict. There are some who are disgusted at the behavior of their fellow soldiers and wish that they were anywhere else. But it's too late now for being a conscientious objector. Just as the Palamists made light of the dead Sabinians who had been strung up, there are many Sabs who are glad to witness further spilling of blood, just so long as it's pale blood. And distinctions like militants versus civilians, those would seem to have broken down. "I've been waiting for this war," one soldier exclaims, as if the current bloodshed is long overdue. Others are happy to score some plunder from the homes of the dead, and speak of civilians who are lined up and systematically executed as being among the lucky ones who got off easy. Venturing within some of the homes, you can catch a glimpse of what being unlucky looks like, and either way, none of it is pretty, at least not if you're still sane. But this is war, and in war, sanity can be one of the first things to go. In some areas of the game, you'll find characters who are not only reveling in the acts of violence already committed, but eagerly anticipating the brutality soon to come, perhaps by their own hands. Some are looking forward to bringing suffering and death upon even unarmed civilians whom they happen to view as the enemy. Because in their minds, it's not a violation of human dignity, it is justice. Such an attitude might seem natural coming from the eerie visage of your interrogator, a mysterious figure whose own humanity is questionable. He openly voices his regret at not being able to torture you the old-fashioned way, though that might just be another psychological ploy. But the celebration of evil, it doesn't bother us so much when it comes from a person like him, because he's practically a cartoon character. Our fictional stories are full of cartoonishly evil villains, foes who hatch nefarious plots and cackle madly at the suffering of others. It doesn't disturb us because we know that real people aren't like that, or at least that's what we'd like to believe. It's when the characters who are not your stereotypical villains, When they join in with glee, that's when things get genuinely disturbing. Maybe those people aren't so different from us. Maybe they are us. And we need to ask, have I ever taken pleasure in the suffering of another? You don't have to be a demon to give in to that sensation. You just have to convince yourself that the other guy is, that your opponent is deserving of hate. Be aware that I'm using that term in the full Christian sense of the word. I'm not merely talking about a feeling like anger. Just as to love is to wish the best for the beloved, to hate is to wish the worst. You desire for them not change, not conversion of heart. No, if you really hate someone, you want them to burn in hell. Moreover, hatred and love are closely tied. The more you love someone, the more you hate that which threatens your beloved. This is another good reason to put God first in your heart. It insulates against some of that hatred, as well. Nothing can really threaten God. But whether the threat is legitimate or not, upon convincing yourself that an opponent deserves your hatred, to rejoice at their misfortune is only natural. So what makes one so sure that that malice is justly deserved? The reality is that hardly anyone believes themselves to be the originator of hate. Like little kids who, after getting in trouble, complain, "But they started it." We nearly always view our hatred as a response to the hatred of someone else. That guy, he hated me, or my group, first. I only harbor hatred for haters, you see. There are times when this may be true. That still doesn't justify one's failure to love your enemies, but perhaps it makes such a reaction understandable. What is all too common today, however, is a kind of self-brainwashing in which we tell ourselves another hates us based on a false dichotomy we erect in our minds, one which says, "You either affirm me in all my big choices, or you hate me. Either you approve and are happy for me, you celebrate my lifestyle, my preferences, my views, or you hate me, you reject my very existence." In short, for a lot of people, we no longer tolerate being tolerated, and that's a problem. Examples abound in matters of sexuality. Forget mere toleration. I want a parade in my honor. Bring your kids. Clap for me. But the same idea underlies much of the modern worship of diversity in general. The thing is, that's not how healthy, rational adults behave. I work with many couples preparing for marriage, and if you've got two people who need to be affirmed in their every choice, who view a lack of affirmation as a personal attack, that marriage is not going to last, as there's typically a type of manipulation going on there. The ability to say, "I love you, but I cannot be happy for you" in that choice. And the awareness from the other side, this person can love me, not just tolerate me, but genuinely love me and still be critical of my choices. That's a crucial ingredient for more than just healthy marriages. It's how all mature relationships work. When we default to a false dichotomy which imposes those terms, you either affirm me or you hate me, we open the door to justifying a whole lot of reactionary hatred, which in turn justifies a gleeful response when terrible things happen to those whom we have labeled as haters. Obviously, our world needs more forgiveness, and finding the strength to forgive, that can be very hard, though it comes a bit easier when we begin by recognizing the loving forgiveness which God extends to us. But even before that, one has to consider whether the hatred you are called to forgive is really hatred at all. It might simply be a lack of affirmation, a view that could be critical, yet still coming from a place not of malice, but of love. May we call out and reject that false dichotomy, firmly rooted in He who is the truth. And that's all I've got for today. May you go with God, may you like and subscribe, and may we pray for one another until we meet again.